Coming up on today's Animalia, the world's largest cylindrical aquarium opens to the public. Snakes alive, child's play like you've never seen it before. A very rare cub gets a health check, like it or not. The birth of a Pacific walrus captured live on tape. And are we really ready for cloned racehorses? All that and more coming right up. It's a pet owner's biggest nightmare. You turn your back for a moment and rovers run away. But now, Japan's largest home and office security provider, Seacom, has unveiled a device that can make looking for a lost pet as easy as browsing the internet. In fact, that's all there is to do. A GPS tracker can pinpoint the location of the pet from a website, which can be browsed on a computer or, being Japan, on one's mobile phone screen. Owners can locate their missing pet to within 50 meters by typing in a password on Seacom's homepage. The technology used by Seacom is an extension of a similar service offered for tracking young children, the elderly and missing automobiles. The company's managed to reduce the size and weight of its sensor by 40% to fit comfortably in a pouch around a dog's neck. Seacom is hoping that its GPS tracker can bite into Japan's lucrative accessories market, catering to an estimated 9.5 million dogs and 7 million cats, by offering paranoid pet owners a little peace of mind. I tend to think that the leash works best though. And nestled in the historic heart of Berlin, Germany's new Dom Aquarell can proudly boast of being the world's largest cylindrical aquarium, and a brilliant feat of modern-day engineering. The public can now look up at the 81-foot-tall aquarium to marvel at over 2,500 fish that make the Aquadome their new home. The giant tank holds 264,000 gallons of salt water and more than 100 different species of fish. Aquarium enthusiasts have also been flocking to the Aquadome to experience a bizarre ride into the depths of the cylindrical aquarium, designed to be the centerpiece of a hotel atrium. Visitors have the unique experience of ascending through a column of water as they ride a split-level glass lift up 7 floors through the heart of the aquarium. On the way up, they're treated to an array of colorful corals, basalt rock formations, and a myriad of undersea creatures. This engineering marvel required over 150 tons of acrylic to construct. A unique process enabled over 40 enormous acrylic panels to be bonded together while still maintaining a seamless appearance. An aquarium of this unprecedented size presented many unique challenges when considering the right species of fish to include. One of the main criteria was that the fish would inhabit all levels of the aquarium. The basalt rock formations were designed to provide spaces for the smaller fish to safely hide from the larger predatory species. International Concept Management, the company that built this modern-day marvel, has also been contracted to provide its day-to-day operation, including food preparation, feeding the fish, ensuring proper fish health and routine cleaning of the interior and exterior surfaces of the aquarium. Due to the Aquadome's size, commercially certified divers must be used to carry out most of these tasks. As they ascend from the bottom of the aquarium, divers must decompress at safety stop intervals because of the depth of water. And with security issues a top priority on most people's minds these days, and visions of exploding fish tanks providing popular sequences in a number of Hollywood films, the creative minds behind the construction of the tank have been quick to put people's minds at rest. Architect Michael Yessing brushed aside all worries, pointing out that in the unlikely event of a shooting or other sabotage, very little water would leak from the tank and few fish, if any, would be lost. After school each day, 9-year-old Tinakorn Hongpanya runs straight to his uncle Nu Laota's home for some very unusual lessons. Over the next few hours, he'll be doing battle with one of Thailand's most deadly snakes, the king cobra. For generations, the residents of Nok Kan Sa, a village over 400 kilometres north of Bangkok in the Thai province of Kongen, have survived by travelling the country, putting on snake charming shows and peddling herbal medicines. Almost every household in the 600-strong village owns at least one king cobra. The children grow up knowing the deadly reptiles as household pets, as they slither unchecked around the village, much to the horror of visiting tourists. The moment they're old enough, boys must begin learning their charming skills, traditional training that's passed down from generation to generation. They're taught how to antagonize the snakes into attacking them, and then how to dodge the highly venomous fangs. The young girls of Koksangar village have their own lessons to learn as well. But what would a traditional snake dance be without the snakes? And while these slithering dance partners are far less deadly than the cobras, they can still inflict a nasty bite on an unsuspecting youngster. The girls are even encouraged to perform fearless feats with their snakes and try to outdo each other with chilling acts of bravado. For the villagers, the cobras are a symbol of success and wealth. The quality, size and skill of your snakes and your ability to control them represent your standing within the village hierarchy. The king cobra can grow up to 5.5 meters and is the largest venomous snake in the world. It's poisonous enough to kill an elephant, but villagers insist that because of their long knowledge of the snakes, very few people get injured. When threatened, cobras flatten out their neck ribs to form a hood as a warning that a strike is imminent. The village has now set up its own King Cobra Club to promote conservation and works closely with wildlife foundations in the region. Deforestation has become a serious concern as king cobras find their habitat shrinking and sometimes make their way into nearby villages. Once there, they're killed by frightened locals, but not in Koksangar village. Here they're treated just like old friends who've wandered in for a visit. Tokyo's Ueno Zoo displayed its first female panda to the public 1 week after arriving from Mexico with hopes that she would mate successfully with 18-year-old Ling Ling, the zoo's sole resident panda, and its rather shy star attraction. Children from a local school sang a song about pandas to welcome 16-year-old Xuan Xuan to Japan. She was also given apples and other food as a present from the excited youngsters. Stud panda Ling Ling has already made 3 unsuccessful mating trips to the Mexican zoo, but it's hoped that this time around he'll have more luck in familiar surrounds. And speaking of luck, all 7 panda cubs born at China's largest panda reserve centre have survived the first few vulnerable months of life. Recently weaned off their mother's milk, the 4-month-old cubs are already active enough to crawl around their cribs and keep workers busy monitoring their daily growth and their health. It's hard to believe that pandas begin live, pink, hairless, blind, and weighing just 3 to 5 ounces. In fact, a giant panda cub is the smallest mammal newborn relative to its mother's size. And from China to the US, where keepers at the San Diego Zoo are overjoyed by their own recent rare addition as well. This very cute and as yet unnamed panda cub underwent his daily physical exam for the cameras today, and everything looked fine according to Associate Veterinarian Li Young. With fewer than 1,000 pandas still living in the wild and around 140 in zoos and breeding centres around the world, mostly in China, each of these two-tone furballs is handled with kid gloves and carefully monitored around the clock. Generally, cubs don't open their eyes until they're 6 to 8 weeks of age and aren't mobile for the first 3 months. This little boy took his first steps 2 weeks ago and is appearing stronger and more mobile with each passing day. The next test he'll face is going off milk entirely. A cub's digestive system will start going through changes from drinking milk to eating bamboo, so this is a critical time in his development. The Harderwijk Dolphinarium in the Netherlands houses one of the largest single families of Pacific walrus in captivity. These generally shy sea mammals grow up to 14 feet and can weigh 2,000 pounds. Those people thought they had good seats. After a pregnancy of 15 months, 21-year-old walrus mother Olga recently gave birth to a healthy baby boy called Boyka. The birth itself took about 40 minutes, a relatively short time for a walrus. Measuring almost 1 meter long, Boyka, which means fighter in Russian, weighed 50 kilos and already had a great moustache. Trainers at the marine park, who are monitoring the little one around the clock, said Boyka was quick to find his mother's milk and that he's already putting on around 0.9 of a kilo per day. The baby will stay at the park and be raised by Olga, who's unable to be returned to the wild due to poor eyesight. This is the second time that she's given birth in captivity. In 1995, she also had a son named Nikolai. The Harderwijk Dolphinarium is therefore the only sea mammal park in Europe where there have been successful walrus births. Every day, Nikolai performs in a show together with his father, Igor, to entertain the hundreds of visitors. Both father and son weigh close to 2 tons, about the same as a pickup truck, and eat up to 7% of their body weight daily. Soon, they'll be joined by Olga and Boyka, and then they'll all move into a new enclosure that's currently being built for their growing family. Thank you very much. A rare Siberian Amur tigress that walked out of Russia's far eastern Taiga region into a logging village near the Chinese border is desperately ill. The listless female tiger who wandered into the village of Ternay has traces of tranquilizer in her blood and can barely stay on her feet. She was taken in by the local branch of the Russian Natural Resources Ministry. Experts believe she was probably poisoned by poachers and needs international help if she's going to recover. The joint Russian-American project has found that only 400 to 450 Amur tigers, the largest cats in the world, survive today. Having adapted to the harsh and remote habitat of the woodlands of the Far East, where temperatures can plunge in winter to minus 40 degrees Celsius, these famed tigers may nevertheless succumb to the cold hearts of poachers. Ecologists warn that the tigers, cousins of India's Bengal tigers, could disappear in 20 to 30 years, especially when a good hide can still fetch up to $20,000 on the black market. Fortunately for this young female, care has arrived in time. The convulsions have stopped and her breathing has slowed, But while she's not out of the woods yet, she should be well enough to return to the natural habitat of the Khabarovsk region and to the remaining tigers still roaming free in the wild. Proclaimed a wonder horse, Funny Side is one of America's most successful and most popular thoroughbreds. But there's a not-so-funny side to Funny Side. Unlike Secretariat and other superstar sires, Funny Side is a gelding. That means he can't reproduce, costing his owners millions of dollars in stud fees and ending a champion's lineage. But a scientist who recently helped clone a racing mule believes Funny Side could probably buck the odds right now. Edward McCabe, a cloning researcher from UCLA, believes that if the horse's owners eventually choose to clone Funny Side, his stud stock could rise dramatically. Thoroughbred racing officials say while there may be a future in racing equine clones, the chance of clones running for, say, the Triple Crown is slim to none. Rules ban cloning, artificial insemination, and anything other than the result of a stallion's natural service with a broodmare. Clones from equine superstars like Secretariat, Seattle Slew, and Funny Side could fight it out in the future, but even if they were cloned, there's still no telling how well they'd perform come race day. Three baby raccoons are currently being raised by their adoptive father, Hartmut Richter, head of the Bad Saros-Strand Wildlife Park, after the furry animals were abandoned by their mother. Local authorities first delivered Pino to his new home around 2 weeks ago, after the young male raccoon was found almost starved to death. He was soon joined by 2 more raccoons who were also abandoned by their mother. All 3 furry animals are now being bottle-fed and cared for by Hartmut. Raccoons are not native to Germany. Like mink in Britain, the mammals were brought to Europe from North America in the early 20th century for their pelts. The cuddly critters were also popular at the time as household pets. The first pair was reportedly set free in Germany in 1934, but the wild raccoon population exploded during the Second World War when a bomb hit a raccoon farm east of Berlin. Many raccoons escaped and began to breed in the wild. The black and white furballs were first spotted skulking around German cities such as Hamburg, Munich and Berlin in the 1960s. But since the 1980s, thousands of raccoons have forsaken their natural woodland and riverside habitat and have moved into the suburbs and into other people's homes. Animal conservationists estimate that up to 100,000 raccoons now live in Germany, but only one that we know of likes to travel in style. Young Pino is taken to hitching rides on the wildlife park's drooping belly pig named Meta Marit. But fortunately for the pig, he's still far too young to drive. Unlike their counterparts in Thailand, these Nepalese elephants hardly work at all. As a matter of fact, they spend most of their day at play. And their game of choice? Well, elephant polo, of course. The sport was founded 22 years ago by 2 Britons, Jim Edwards and James Manclark, during a drinking session at St. Moritz after tobogganing on the famous Cresta Run. Its rules have evolved over the past 2 decades, and the game now has its own governing body, the World Elephant Polo Association, or WEPA. Each game consists of 2 chukkers of 10 minutes. The smaller, younger elephants are the fastest and are primarily used in an attacking position. Opposing teams swap elephants at the end of the first chukker to prevent any particular team of elephants proving an advantage. The elephants are controlled by their mahouts, while the players concentrate on wielding extra-long polo sticks, but communication between all three, mahout, player and elephant, is crucial. The rules of the game are similar to horse polo, but the pitch is 3/4 the length and there can be no more than 3 elephants in one half of the pitch at a time. This avoids the dangers of the animals' herd instincts crowding them into a semi-permanent huddle. The last thing these spectators need is a stampede of elephants heading towards them. Players from 18 nations, including Australia, Thailand, Hong Kong, India and the USA, took part in the week-long tournament, which was held near the Royal Chitwan National Park in Nepal. And just for the record, the winners were Tiger Tops Tuskers, representing the host nation Nepal, who beat Anantara, Thailand by 5-4 in a sudden death playoff. The annual event raises money for charity, including the International Trust for Nature Conservation, which funds tiger and rhino anti-poaching units in several national parks. Residents of the Brazilian town of People's Alligator are up in arms after environmental authorities arrived to take away their precious alligators. State Environmental Agency IBAMA impounded the 3 alligators living in the fountain of the town's main square after an anonymous tip-off that they weren't getting proper care. But town residents claim that they are the town's symbol, and after living in the fountain for over 20 years, are very well looked after. The Brazilian government workers who relocated the alligators, and several turtles as well, said they needed to live in a more spacious location than a fountain. People's Alligator got its unusual name when it was founded in 1957, because an alligator was discovered in a small river nearby, a rarity in Brazil's dry northeast. Now the disheartened townsfolk are considering a name change, from People's Alligator to no alligators at all.